Okay, I'm going to take an ignition coil off the truck just to show you the difference. And some of these are not too bad to get at. I'm picking an easy one just to save time on the video. Some of these are absolutely miserable to get at. I'm going to need a pick tool like this to disconnect the wiring harness so I can pull the wiring harness off of the ignition coil itself. And then the ignition coil is held on with a 10mm nut. 10mm, there's actually memes about 10mm sockets because they are probably the most common metric socket you'll ever need, and as a result they're the ones that are out being used the most often, which also means they're the ones that are most frequently lost. And so it's actually a running joke that you know, people will open the hood of a vehicle in a garage and go, oh look, I found a 10mm socket. It's actually a thing. I can't even count how many 10mm sockets I've both found and lost, particularly at school. Alright, so I got a nut back here. Oh, and one other little trick for you. Pulling a nut off, you know, you're guaranteed you're going to drop the thing back there. So get one of these in your life, the magnet stick, and this one actually is pretty extendable, which is handy. And then as the socket comes close to the top and the nut's ready to fall off, if you just simply hold the magnet beside the socket, then basically the nut's going to stick to this thing when you go to put it, or when you go to take your socket off, you'll get the nut. And I do that trick sometimes putting nuts back on as well, as I'll stick them sideways to the magnet, get down in there. Depends on your fingers, right? I got big fat fingers, so I find it a little difficult to start a little teeny weeny little nut way back in behind there. Saves you a bit of hunting time. And you might say, oh well, just let the nut drop and then go get it. Okay, you tell me how that turns out. Sometimes they land where you can get them, and sometimes they don't. So, I'm gonna crack this guy. He's loose, so I'll just use the extension as a driver here. You can play the Jeopardy song in your head. And yeah, I got the magnet stick sitting right down in there, ready to go. Da, 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 da. And where's the nut? Oh, it's somewhere. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, never mind, it's still on there. I thought it was loose. Nothing like doing videos. You do all your failures in public. Alright, there we go. There's the nut. Okay, worked fine. Leave that right up there. Hopefully I'm not blocking too much of the camera. Put a little tool in there to release the clip. There's the wiring harness for the ignition coil. Again, it's a 3-wire pin, and this coil is now loose. And it should pull straight up, and it does. And here it comes. Okay, and so it sits on a post, right? Picture this being the post. So it sits in like that, and the 10mm nut sits on there to hold it down. The BMW coil that I showed you, it simply had a friction fit, but it's pretty good friction, and it's never misfired to come loose on me ever. Notice down here I got some dirt, okay, and below it I've got some dirt too, which means that this rubber seal is not totally doing its job. I actually coat these with silicone assembly lubricant to try to help it seal, to prevent dirt from going down below here. If you refer to the BMW video, I was talking about how you can get a misfire by having water down there. And a step that I left out that's actually a good idea is, before you even take the coils out, get an air compressor and a blowgun and flush all the crap out of here. You're going to have Toronto maple leaves, you're going to have, you know, milkweed seeds and maple keys and sand and who knows what's in there, water, all kinds of stuff in there. And as soon as you pull this out, it all falls down into the spark plug well, and you won't notice that, of course. Then you'll take the spark plug out, and then it's all going to keep on, all that crap's going to keep on falling. Well, guess where it goes? It ends up on top of the piston in the cylinder. And you might say, oh, it doesn't matter, it'll all burn off and go out. Yeah, maybe some of it will, but if some of it is sand, would you actually ever deliberately add sand to your cylinder? If you answer yes, I want your keys so I can save the vehicle from you. Yeah, you don't want that. So blow all that stuff out of there so that all the dirt doesn't fall in when you pull the coil out. Again, not a huge challenge to take one of these out. I really think it's within the scope of ability of a student. You know, when you take an auto course, you should be able to change a coil. If you have a misfire, you figure out which one it is, and I'm going to show you a process for that in another video, but this is certainly within the scope of your abilities.